Tool shell how-to chained SharePoint bugs led to unauthenticated remote code execution. Presenter Mohammed Alshehhi, EDX username Mohammed Alshehhi _8 GitHub username. Mohammed Alshehhi 123, date recorded Saturday, August 1st, 2026. Incident occurred August 2026.
Background. What is SharePoint, and why does this matter? One on-premises platform. Microsoft SharePoint Server is a self-hosted collaboration platform. Organizations run it on their own servers to manage documents, internal sites, and workflows. 2. Deep integration. It's often tightly connected to an organization's internal user directory, making a compromised server a launchpad into the rest of the network. 3. Not SharePoint Online. Microsoft's cloud version, SharePoint Online, is patched automatically by Microsoft and was not affected by this incident. Only self-managed, on-prem deployments were at risk. The attack, the vulnerability chain. 2 separate bugs, chained together, defeated authentication entirely. 123, authentication, bypass CVE-202, 5-53771, insecure deserialization, CVE-202, 5-53770, to remote code. Execution. Full server takeover attacker sends a request with a forged HTTP referer header, tricking SharePoint into skipping the login check for an internal page. The server takes attacker-supplied data and converts it back into a running program, without verifying it came from a trusted source. The malicious payload runs with no credentials required, giving the attacker complete control of the server. Both CVEs are patch bypasses. Microsoft had already fixed earlier versions of these same bugs, CVE-2, 025-49, 704/CVE-202, 5-49706. Attackers found that a minor change, like URL letter casino, was enough to slip past the original fix. The complication. Why the patch alone wasn't enough. Once inside, attackers extracted the server's machine keys, the cryptographic secrets SharePoint uses to sign and validate session data. With those keys, an attacker can forge a valid session at any point in the future, even after the server is patched. So installing Microsoft's fix wasn't enough on its own. Compromised organizations also had to rotate keys and hunt for planted web shells, or attackers would simply walk back in with a forged token. The key lesson: patching closes the door. It doesn't remove an attacker already inside. Recovery requires patch the vulnerability, rotate cryptographic keys, and search for signs of prior compromise. ETHA impact. Real-world impact. July 18th to 20th of 2025. Discovered and actively exploited within days. 75 to 100 plus servers compromised globally within days. Emergency out-of-band patch, outside Microsoft's normal cycle. Large enterprises sectors affected. Government agencies, healthcare organizations, universities. The speed here is notable. A public proof of concept turned disclosure into mass exploitation within days. Prevention. How to avoid this patch on emergency releases immediately. Minimize internet exposure. Rotate keys after any suspected compromise. Monitor for persistence. Prefer vendor-managed cloud options. Tool shell CVE-202, 5-53770/5-3771. When a vendor breaks its normal release cycle to ship a fix, treat it as urgent. Don't wait for the next maintenance window. Don't expose on-prem collaboration servers directly to the internet if it can be avoided. Patching alone doesn't undo a breach. Cryptographic keys and credentials need to be rotated too. Watch for unusual outbound requests or unexpected new files, web shells, on internet-facing servers. Where feasible, a cloud-managed version shifts patch responsibility to the vendor. Discovery: how it was discovered. On July 18, 2025, the Dutch security firm iSecurity noticed something unusual on customer SharePoint servers: web shells appearing on disk with no matching login in the authentication logs. That mismatch, code running on the server with no record of anyone signing in, was the red flag that something was bypassing authentication entirely. Microsoft's own threat intelligence team, along with outside researchers, quickly confirmed active exploitation and traced it to nation-state linked actors, not isolated opportunists. Why this mattered: code. Running with no login record is a signature of an authentication bypass. From first detection to a public advisory took less than 48 hours. Fast reporting is a big part of why the emergency patch shipped so quickly. Timeline, response, and patch. Timeline. May 2025. Microsoft patches the original bugs, CVE-2025-49704/CVE-2025-49706, as part of its routine monthly update. July 18, 2025. Attackers begin exploiting a bypass of that patch in the wild. iSecurity detects the first compromised servers. July 19, 2025. Active exploitation confirmed. CISA adds the flaw to its known exploited vulnerabilities catalog, requiring federal agencies to patch immediately. July 20th to 21st, 2025. Microsoft ships emergency, out-of-band patches for CVE-2025-53770 and CVE-2025-53771. Following weeks, affected organizations rotate machine keys and hunt for planted web shells. Microsoft extends fixes to additional SharePoint versions. Pattern: similar past. Incidents. ToolShell isn't an isolated case. It fits a recurring pattern in enterprise software. ProxyShell 2021, a chained authentication bypass plus RCE attack against Microsoft Exchange Server, the same two-step pattern seen in ToolShell 4 years earlier. Log4Shell 2021, a logging library trusted attacker-supplied input, similar in spirit to ToolShell's deserialization flaw. Mass scanning began within hours of disclosure. MoveIt Transfer 2023. A single injection flaw in a file transfer tool led to data theft across hundreds of organizations worldwide, a reminder of how far one bug can reach. The common thread: attackers consistently favor bugs that require no credentials because they scale. One exploit can hit thousands of internet-facing servers at once. Conclusion: 2 individually serious bugs, an auth bypass and a deserialization flaw, became catastrophic once chained together. Attackers actively reverse engineer patches, not just original disclosures. This was a bypass of an earlier fix. Recovering from a breach takes more than an update. Patch fast, assume compromise, rotate secrets, and reduce exposure. Thank you.